Hi, this is Ron Darling.
This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to MetsMusings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Mets Musings. Hope you all had a great week out there. And before we get into it, don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and that like button, and it'll keep you in touch with all the action that's going on in Mets spring training in Port St. Lucie. Now, on Tuesday, Mets owner Steve Cohen held a press conference, and he discussed the team's off-season activities and plans for the future and some other things. And some of the highlights included, he talked about signing Pete Alonso and saying that Alonso requested the meeting, and they flew down to Tampa, him and Stearns, and Alonso did all the talking. Scott Boras didn't say a word. Alonso reiterated how much he wanted to be in New York and stay in New York, and Cohen said back to him that they wanted to have him back, and let's make it come together. And the rest is history. He signed the 2-year deal, $54 million, with an opt-out after the first year, and we're all together. He also spoke, Steve Cohen did, about signing Juan Soto, and he detailed the negotiations that led to the acquisition of the said Mr. Soto. He described a series of meetings and discussions, including a dinner in Fort Lauderdale where he negotiated with Scott Boras. And Cohen recounted moments of uncertainty, stating, "I walked out of the second meeting with Juan and Scott thinking, oh boy, there's no way we're going to land this player." Despite all of these challenges, they secured a 15-year contract on Mr. Soto for $765 million and made their offseason a success at that point. But he was skeptical at part, didn't think he was going to make it. He also spoke about the luxury tax, the considerations, and saying he'd like to get the payroll down in the future. He doesn't want to have to pay luxury tax all the time. He has the money and he's willing to spend it, but they'd sure like to get it down. And one of the main reasons is if you have too many long-term contracts, it kills your salary flexibility. And they want to be more flexible with the salary, just so that they can do the sort of things that they have been doing, where they're in a position, if a great player comes along, they can sign them. And that's all you ask for, and that's exactly what they're talking about now. Getting it down to a point where they do have more flexibility. He spoke about another number of other items also, but one interesting thing that he did mention was that how the Mets have had, the last few years, they've had this pitching lab that everybody raves about, and how they use technology and they're working with the pitchers. Well, Steve Cohen wants to bring about a hitting lab that is similar, that uses technology, and AI and all of that to work with the hitters and try to improve the hitters as well. So that's something interesting that we'll have to keep an eye on in the future with the Metsies. So that could be something that helps them in the future. A lot of teams are looking towards AI and towards technology and in these specialties to work with the players to try to improve their performance and hopefully avoid injuries and that sort of thing. So all in all, Steve Cohen's press conference was very positive. He's looking forward to the season, wants to build on last year, on what they did, and hopefully they can move forward and maybe this year get to the World Series. Wouldn't that be something? We haven't seen one in a few years now. It's hard to believe that it's 10 years already since they made the World Series. It seems like 2015 was just yesterday. And here it is, 10 years already. Boy, the time does fly by quickly. And let's hope they can, on the 10th year anniversary of their last World Series appearance, they make another World Series appearance, only this time with better results. Also meeting the press was the newly signed Pete Alonso. He was asked upon his arrival in Mets camp on Monday whether he came close to signing elsewhere this winter. He offered a genial reply, but didn't actually answer the question. I think there might have been a chance that he could have left, but he wanted to stay in New York, and I think that showed that. And he said that he was happy to be back, happy to see his teammates, and looking forward to the year. He was happy that Juan Soto signed with the team, and he was glad he is back as a Met and signed with the team, and he looks at this contract as a bridge to the next contract. So I hope he thinks that he's going to have a big year and will get a longer contract. He will be a year older, though, so I don't see it. I don't see the 7-year contract that he should have signed a couple of years ago. I could see if he has a big season, the Mets going to a 3 or 4 year deal, depending upon what they want to do. Now, the interesting point that opened up this week also was that Vladimir Guerrero failed to meet an extension with the Toronto Blue Jays, and he had a deadline of spring training, which means he will go to free agency next season. And whether or not the Mets will pursue him over Pete Alonso will make for an interesting 2025-2026 offseason. So we'll see what the Mets do at that point. But, of course, that's a long way away, and a lot's going to depend on the year that Pete has. If Pete has a big monster year, the Mets might just say, let's stick with what we have. We know Guerrero would be 4 to 5 years younger than Pete, so there may be that thought to take the money you would give Pete and give it to Guerrero. But let's see, he's a homegrown talent. Pete Alonso is a fan favorite. That would be a tough decision if they did that. Let Pete walk and signed. At least tried to sign Vladimir Guerrero. Plus, it would be tough. It might be tough on Vlad Guerrero Jr. as well, because then he would be coming in to replace a fan favorite, and people may not like that he took his contract. So it's going to be an interesting thing next offseason as well. We'll have two off seasons in a row of interesting stories and situations coming up for the New York Mets. A little bad news on the Mets side. An injury has occurred. Frankie Montas is going to be out with some time. The Mets informed reporters, including Tim Healy of Newsday, that Frankie Montas has a high-grade right lat sprain. He will get a platelet-rich plasma injection and be shut down for 6 to 8 weeks. That will take him roughly to the start of April, at which point he will have to start ramping up again. Even if he is back at full health at that point, he's likely going to miss at least a month of the season, and it could be longer depending upon how the recovery goes. So Frankie Montas, we will not see for a while. And what does that do to the Mets pitching rotation? Well, he was penciled in on it, so this is going to make it even thinner now because they're going to have to go with a Tyler McGill or a Paul Blackburn or Griffin Canning, some of the other guys in camp. It opens up a spot for somebody to try to win a position, which is a good thing to a certain extent, but it also puts the Mets in a less than desirable situation as they all become a pitcher short. So it could be a blessing in disguise. They could discover somebody. Maybe Brandon Sproat makes a bid for a rotation spot. They wanted to go with 6 guys. Now, with Montas out, that means whoever was fighting for that 6th or 5th spot will now be fighting for something a little bit higher. So it opens up the competition for somebody. And let's hope somebody rises to the occasion, whether it be McGill or Blackburn or Sproat, Tidwell, Hamill, Canning, whoever else they have in camp, makes a run for this spot now with Frankie out. And I guess it wouldn't be a Mets season without an injury to a pitcher. So that's just their luck. Now, on the good side of an injury, Brandon Nimmo says he's feeling a whole lot better. He was hampered by plantar fasciitis in his left foot last season. He's still working his way back to 100%, but he says he's at 91% now. We're in a really good spot, good place to be. He's trending upwards. He said he's going to keep stacking good days on good days. Really, what you want to do is not push it too hard right now because it's trending in the right direction. We'll take those steps accordingly, but it's in a really good spot right now. He said his foot felt normal for about 3 or 4 weeks, and that the 91% figure he gave is exact. He's wearing a trackable device that measures his speed, so they'll see how he can progress that way. And don't expect to see him play in a lot of the early spring training games. My guess is that they were going to work him in slowly. He is 32 now. He knows how to get ready for the season. I would expect that they would take their time, work him in after coming off of this, and just cool it. Take your time with him and let him be. He knows how to get ready for a season, and just take it easy and let it ride that way. And hopefully he'll be healthy for the season, and they can start the new year with a healthy Brandon Nimmo and go right into it. And that's going to be a nice lineup. Going to be a nice lineup to see. We're not going to see it all in spring training, I don't think. Not in the beginning, at least. More towards the end. you'll see what close to the opening day lineup, but I think it's going to be a nice lineup. All right, let's take a quick break, and I will be back right after this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
Oh, and we're back. You caught me. And more Met news. The Mets will extend their relationship with their longest tenured pitcher as they reportedly agree to a one-year deal with right-hander Drew Smith, which contains a club option for the 2026 season. Smith, who's rehabbing from Tommy John / internal brace surgery, he had a doubleheader there, performed last July, will be paid $1 million in 2025. His club option is valued at $2 million. The MVP sports client can boost these totals by way of some yet unclear incentives. So Drew Smith is back, though he's not going to pitch, but the Mets want to keep him in the fold, so they sign him to a contract. And a lot of teams do this. They do with an option for next year. If he's looking good at the end of the year, his recovery is going well. He had the Tommy John surgery in July, so there is a possibility that you could see him in September, maybe. Could get a little pitching in, but they'll see how he's doing, and then they can exercise the option if they wish for next season. But a lot of teams are doing this lately, signing these guys that are coming off major surgery, not going to play the first year, but they will be available the second year, and they want to hold on to him. They know Drew Smith. They knew what he did in the past for them. So I'm sure that's got a lot to do with it. They're happy for him as well. Righty Christian Scott, who is also recovering from Tommy John surgery, was transferred to the 60-day IL in a corresponding move. Smith was himself then transferred to the 60-day IL as the corresponding move when Pete Alonso signing became official. So we have the guys that are injured and aren't going to play this year pushed to the longest IL to get them their spot on the roster so we could move in other players. So Pete Alonso came back and took his spot. So also announced this week was SNY announced that a new direct-to-consumer streaming service for fans to purchase a subscription to SNY's award-winning programming lineup, including New York Mets broadcast. This new service is being launched in partnership with Major League Baseball and its industry-leading streaming capabilities and is available beginning today via the MLB App. Buy SNY seasonal for $124.99 or SNY monthly $24.99, and you can get this new service by partnering with MLB. all SNY subscribers will have access to the most enhanced viewing experience with live games, highlights, player stats, pitch tracking, full game replays, and the flexibility to enjoy games on demand across a variety of platforms. We are thrilled to partner with Major League Baseball in making SNY more broadly available to sports fans in the tri-state area, said Steve Robb, president of SNY. 2025 marks SNY's 20th season, and this enhanced streaming product reflects our continued commitment to providing sports fans with the flexibility to watch SNY whenever and however they choose. MLB has worked extensively with numerous parties in the sports media space to help expand the reach of MLB games and eliminate local blackouts where we can, said Kenny Gersh, MLB Executive Vice President for Media and Business Development. With the high-quality production and elite broadcasting talent that SNY offers, along with the excitement surrounding the 2025 Mets, we are looking forward to offering Mets fans in the tri-state area this new option to enjoy watching their favorite club. The new streaming service will be available for purchase for $24.99 a month, $124.99 for the MLB season, or $149.99 annually via the MLB app. SNY can also be bundled with MLB.TV for $45 a month, or $220 for the MLB season. The MLB app is available on a variety of devices and platforms, including iOS, Android, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, Google TV, and Samsung connected TVs. Regular season games exclusively broadcast by national networks such as Fox, ESPN, Apple, or WPIX are not included in this offering. Fans within SNY's regional coverage territory, New York State, Connecticut, New Jersey, and northeastern Pennsylvania, who are authenticated subscribers through their respective pay TV providers, will also be able to access the SNY stream at no extra charge through the MLB app starting in March. The SNY app will be discontinued at the end of March. So what does that mean? I have no idea. It's just that they started this service. If you have the MLB app on your phone or on your iPad or on your smart TV, I guess, it's not going to be, the games aren't going to be available there. They're going to be available on the MLB app. So we'll have to see how this all shakes out and works. It's a little... This whole TV thing is getting a little bit complicated. It was a lot easier when I was a kid, believe me. You had, 5 or 6 stations in New York, and that was it. All of these streaming things, it can get kind of crazy, kind of hairy, and it can be expensive. They say lose the cable and save a lot of money. You don't save all that much. I mean, you do and you don't, but you bring in a lot of confusion. The thing is, everybody's going to their own apps now. So it's what do you buy? I mean, you have Netflix, okay, but then there's something, that looks interesting. It's on Paramount Plus. So you got to buy that. Ooh, I like that show. Oh, but they're only on HBO Max. So then you got to buy that. I mean, it can get crazy after a while. In a way, cable was more... made more sense in a way because you had everything on there. And that was the stations that you had. Now with these apps, I mean, it's even crazier than having stations. I mean, take something like Paramount. Paramount has a station with stuff on it, but the good stuff is on the Paramount Plus app. And they never, at least some of the stations, if they have it like that situation, some of them will have some of the shows you can get to see, older on your TV provider. But they don't even do that now, a lot of them. So it can get crazy, and this is just adding to it a little bit. But I think the point of all of this is to bring everything under the MLB app and have MLB, I guess, control everything and do away with blackouts completely, which is a good idea, which is something I'm in favor of. It's kind of ridiculous. You get a game sometime and you can't get it. Like I'll give you an example. I get the MLB app, but I couldn't get a Mets home game on there, or really a road game, because I also have SNY. I got to see the game, but and watch it on SNY, which was fine. But why couldn't I watch it on the MLB app? Because it's blacked out, because SNY had the rights. That's what I think they're trying to do. That's why they're incorporating SNY in with that, and hopefully that'll do away with a lot of those restrictions. And maybe as time goes by, it'll do away with it throughout the country. But it can get a little wacky at times. So, but that's the latest. Now they're joined with the MLB app, so don't forget your SNY app for the broadcast, not for the news or anything else. For they had a separate app for the broadcast that will be no longer viable. You can use the MLB app and get it through there. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. I know I confused myself, but that's easily done. So next week we hope to have an interview. I don't know if it's going to be next week or the week after, but we got a couple of things lined up, and going to be a very interesting show. So don't forget to subscribe and to hit the like button, and that way you'll always know when a new edition of Mets Musings is coming out. And we like you to subscribe because it helps our analytics as well. And the people at YouTube like that, to know that you got subscribers. So please, if you could, subscribe if you have not. And it doesn't cost you nothing. And leave a comment as well. Leave a question, a comment. You can contact me at MetsMusings@gmail.com, or leave a comment underneath the video, either on Rumble or YouTube, however you get this podcast. You can write me if you listen to the audio version of the podcast, or whatever you want. But let me know how I'm doing. What can we do to improve the show? And any other question or trivia or whatever else you may have. And by the way, one bit of trivia before I go. As I record this on 2/19/2025, it is the anniversary of the first Mets spring training camp. It was February 19th, 1962, when the Mets got together for the first time in Tampa, St. Pete, at the old Al Lang Stadium in Tampa, St. Pete, and got their first training camp underway under the watchful eyes of the old professor himself, Casey Stengel, in 1962. So a little bit of Mets history there for you as we say goodbye. And until next time, remember to keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go, Mets. I'm Gary Mack. I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Musings.